And no, I don't have a booger hanging off of my nose.
I noticed it right away.
I cut myself shaving.
It happens.
Thank God for masks, man. Because I know the students would have given me shit about it.
Miss Pat, your nose looks stupid.
Oh, sorry. We're live. Are we live? We live. We live? Oh, yep. You did shut it down. Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay, that's going. I gotta record the show, don't I? I don't know if it's the time of year. I don't know if it's the fact that I haven't been writing enough. I don't know if it's I'm working longer hours than I had to last year, but I'm tired almost every day now when I get home.
It's because of getting dark.
You think it's it?
That's
it's just
what it does for me.
It's the seasonal depression.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hit about 11:45 today. Just
wall.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I've been taking cold brew coffee to work every day, and it's the only thing that's getting me through. But for some reason, I think I have to save it. It's like, oh, you can't have it till 3. And I'm falling asleep at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, drink your coffee, you dumbass.
Yeah, you never think that nap time would be the time that you also want to nap.
Yeah, you get one technically, even though you don't get to nap. Well, that was a wonderful intro to the show. Hey, before we begin, sponsor time, everybody. Ambassador Cycling people, now that the season is winding down or ramping up if you're a crosser, this is the time to make sure all the details are covered. You should really consider your position on the bike and how important it is to your power, your pleasure, and technically your pain. Get over to ambassadorcycling.com and set up a time to talk to the one and only Bike Fit Sam. Your cycling will change forever. No, really. Gooder Sunglasses, people, the home for all the eyewear solutions that actually make you look cool on and off the bike. Trust me, friends, don't let friends wear dorky visor-style glasses off of the bike. Get over to Gooder.com today. Check out all the super affordable options for your face. Competitive cyclists, people, if you can't get it from the LBS, get it over to Competitive Cyclist and get it taken care of. All your shopping needs and wants in one place. And if you do, make sure you use the link at Packfiller.com because it shows you're a true sponsor and supporter of the Packfiller. Are you a sponsor? No, you're a supporter of the Packfiller. I misread my own ad copy. And finally, Athletic Brewing. You know you're gaining winter weight, right? Sure, it's somewhat destined to happen, but rage against the dying of the light. Get it? See what I did there? The dying of the light. L-I. Yeah. Wow. Okay, that was pretty good. And switch it up with Athletic Brewing's brilliant non-alcohol, low-calorie option. 70 calories for a beer. Yep, use the link at packfiller.com today. So let's get to it. Wrong screen. Someday I'll get all this shit figured out, and then I'll die. That wasn't an omen. It wasn't. Sees the camera. It's right there, so the people can see my shaving booger.
Your mic's covering.
Is it?
Yeah, I see it right now. Unless you look right at the camera and try and expose it.
I cut myself shaving under the nose today, and it looks like a booger, so I'm really thankful for masks. The season is now officially over, you guys, unless you're into cyclocross. In that case, good on you, and you might want to seek help for that. Here, there's a lotion you can make that'll cure it right up. It's time for another look into the pack. This is the Packfiller, and the beverages are poured. In the studio is the panel for this week. Let's find something out about them, shall we? Because I like doing this. I just put all the pressure on you guys.
I love it.
And everybody gets to find out, just little irrational things about you. Gentlemen, please, after your introductions, tell the eager listening audience your most irrational fear, something that bothers or frightens you that the most would think it is not that big of a deal. I'm giving you a second to think while the theme continues to roll. First of all, he's back, as things should be. Mr. Paul Main. Paul, what's your irrational fear?
Running backwards, buck naked into a doorknob.
Oh, my.
I stole that. That's a Johnny Carson thing. But Yep.
Okay.
It's a phobia of mine.
There you go.
Butt naked into a doorknob.
Yeah.
All right. Second of all, he's in the house, but this isn't his home. Mr. Jackson Bolger.
Yes, very true. My irrational fear, I think, is going out into public in sweatpants. It just something I can never do.
Really?
Yeah, my girlfriend and I have talked about this too. She's like, many people go out in sweatpants.
know.
And
Yeah,
it's like,
sure.
nope, I have to put jeans on every time.
When you get above
Or-
50, you dribble after peeing, so it's not a
Sure.
good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know some casual shorts that'll show that. Or you guys, so you can see
It's like,
across
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack's fucking mic is in the way.
Who's he?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Me, I'm Pat Bolger, and I think it's been commonly stated that I have an irrational fear of frogs. I have a very
Frogs.
Yeah, if I were a superhero, I'd be Frogman because Batman is afraid of bats. So I'd be Frogman. When I was a little kid, we used to have this cabin on the lake, and you say cabin just so you don't sound like a rich asshole, but we had a lake home, okay, and
Okay, rich asshole.
yeah, and we had the back of the house was up against the hillside, and there was this storage closet that held a little outboard motor that I was going to put on a boat, and I remember opening it one day, and like 6 or 8 tree frogs, tiny little tree frogs, fell out of it and landed on me. And I was super young, but it freaked me out, and it has to this day. I've had an irrational fear of frogs ever since. There you go. So if any of you fuckers are in the race and you're just like, hey, frog boy, or something like that, I'll
You get a fake rubber one, throw it on you.
yeah,
Into the dish.
Take out the whole field. Exactly.
Winding up for the sprint.
Frog. So I do want to take a second and wish the one and only Jack Broadhead a belated birthday, you guys. He tried to get by without us knowing that it was his birthday yesterday. Perhaps the bike fairy can pay a visit to Jack, so he's going to be more apt to come play with us this next year.
I wished him happy birthday on his birthday.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't tell me it was his birthday. I asked like 4 times, and he didn't tell me until today. You just knew?
Yeah.
How do
his
you know?
wife posted something on Facebook.
Yeah, okay. I thought I was like, shit, are you one of those guys who keeps a calendar or something like
yeah.
that? So hey, cheers to Jack. Jack, here's to you, man.
Get on the bike.
Yeah, quit running, dude. Let's fess up, you guys. Who rode this week and how many times? Does anybody want to jump into this realm and go first? Jackson, you
I rode on Zwift last week once, and then you and I rode on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been it. You know, I'm fine with the slope beginning to curve downwards.
All right.
Yeah, it's that time of year. I'm not racing, so I'm fine with it. Good to relax.
Okay. No, I'm getting paranoid. But Paul, how was your ride week?
Well, Saturday I rode with a group of people who'd be willing to play with me, unlike you guys. Guy Winston, I know.
You're making up names
No.
now. Okay.
Winston, he was on the TNT, and he asked Luther, and Dennis
Luther.
was there, and Anton,
Really?
those guys, and we went out for a ride, and they thrashed me, and yeah.
How far did you go?
I cut it off short, and it was like maybe 30 miles. We went up Baltimore, and then we went up Sagewood, Willow Springs, Sagewood.
Sure,
It's a
sure.
good climb. And then went and did like up by, what is the name of that? Tower Mountain or something like that.
Oh,
and
so
then I
kind
said,
of around here.
I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, I was not.
Just massive climbing.
Yeah, because Winston is trying to get, I don't know, some stupid, he's probably listening, but I don't know, stupid, like so many feet of climbing in a year, and he's behind, so everything has to go uphill, and he just invited me to go do step-toe today.
Really?
So I got new friends since you guys didn't
You're dumping us.
Yeah.
So step-toe. Oh. For the listener who doesn't know, I think we talked about this on the show before.
But we wrote it once.
It's this butte out. It's like a zit in this large area of farmland. It just sticks out of nowhere. It's a big bulbous zit, like my cut under my nose. It just sticks up out of nowhere. And how many feet of climbing you say?
It's not
like
that
300-400
bad,
feet.
Yeah.
It's not that much, but shit. How many feet? I mean, Winston, I think he's better off going to Mount Spokane and climbing.
No, he's
that.
done that too several times. Yeah.
There's going to be snow on there though, anyway. So.
Yeah, now.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no.
I got 2 rides in this week. Jackson and I did a 40?
Oh, I wasn't done.
Oh,
I went by
fuck.
myself
Oh,
on
my
Monday.
God.
I
Wow.
had Monday off, and I went for a ride by myself.
Jeez.
I thought I would try something different because everybody talks about, it's so beautiful, bike riding. You're looking around, you see things that you normally don't see. So I thought I'm just gonna do just a 7 mile, and I'm gonna do exactly that. Didn't see a damn thing. I just think I'm not going hard enough, so I ended up just,
Yeah.
So I just started pushing on the pedals, and fuck that, So
You're kidding me.
yep.
Okay,
I'm serious.
I was finding a perfect segue into my ride week because Saturday, Jackson and I rode, and it was nice to not bleed through my eye sockets for once. And we didn't go easy, but we didn't go hard. Would you say, Jackson? And I thought the ride through along the river was gorgeous. It was pretty.
Yeah.
I got to look up and not just be staring at somebody's wheel in front of me, praying for them to ease up. You're not.
I didn't do that.
You didn't? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I thought I was going to, but I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I was just going to have a casual you still think when you ride by yourself. I haven't ridden by myself in a long time.
Yeah.
It's been with groups probably for the last 2-3 months, but I thought it would be refreshing just to sit there. And I did think about things like, God, I'm getting old, and how am I going to fix this? I'm going to do like motor pacing. I mean, and that's what I was, instead of looking at the beauty.
So you were constantly thinking about getting faster or staying fast.
Yeah, I know it wasn't a consciously. It just seemed to keep slipping down in this groove of thought. I'd go over, look at the trees. Yeah, well, I've seen those before. So next year, this is what I'm going to do. Back out of the groove, back down.
Okay. No, good for you, man. I did chase cartoons on Sunday. I got home. This is my other job is working at a high school, and I had to work on some stuff at school on Sunday, and so I came home a little later in the afternoon. Wind was blowing like a son of a bitch. I think there were 30+ mile an hour gusts
on Sunday.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so I just looked around and said, I'm not going to go out and push this. So I'll hop on the trainer and see what it's like. What it's like to remember what it's like to chase cartoons. And I'm not gonna bash it, but I don't know. It's gonna take me a while to get into that mindset to do that again. More on that later, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Teaser there.
Yeah.
So that was good. It was the Saturday ride was beautiful, and I was hoping to do a Sunday ride, but I had a guilt dream. I think I talked about this in the text. I actually went to bed that night thinking Sunday I was going to get up and go for a ride, and I was super excited about it. And then in the middle of the night, it's like these demons woke up and were dancing on my shoulders, telling me to go in and get some work done and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, fuck you, adult dreams. God, it made me mad. And I'm being depressive. So I got a new news theme. You guys want to hear it? Okay, it might be way too much. See, I need your honest opinion on the new news.
If it's anything like that other, hey guys.
No. This one.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
It's only 15 seconds. Panda Watch. It just made me. I just thought of that when I was doing that. Okay. Okay, you guys. Here's the headlines. Tade says, "I'm not the new Mercs." But Eddie says, not so fast. I don't know if you guys have seen this headline out there today. Every time a new rider emerges to dominate in the pro peloton, they're faced with comparisons against the greatest male rider of all time, Mr. Eddie Merckx. Tadej Pogačar sat down at a sponsorship event at DMT headquarters in Verona with the cannibal himself, where they traded compliments. And usually, if you can get a compliment out of Eddie, you know that shit's going well. Pogačar made history, obviously, this weekend after winning Lombardia after taking his second Tour de France in the same season as another monument at Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And Eddie suggested that the Slovenian could finally be the next great champions. And he said, and I quote, "I have heard many times this is the new Merckx. Without the conditions being fulfilled, That's brutal. First of all, Eddie always just like says, "Hey, that's great, but you're not good." But he says, "I have heard many times that this is the new Merckx without the conditions being fulfilled. But Tade, I think we are really there this time." Merckx said, "He is 23 and has already won the Tour de France twice. Incredible. He's only at the beginning of his career. I think he can do better than me in some races. He is 23 years old and already won the Tour de France twice in 30 races. That is unbelievable. At 24, I had not even won the Tour. He is still at the beginning of his career, but I think he's doing better than me in some races. He is great. He is a great champion, and we're going to enjoy him for many years to come." Whoa. That's a big one from the Cannibal. So my questions to you guys is naming somebody the new Eddie Merckx officially a curse?
Yeah, I think it's a thing that we see in a lot of sport topics. With soccer, obviously everybody's like, "Oh, is this like the next Pele?"
Yeah.
Even though I think Pele was kind of that's another thing.
Whoa.
Yeah, but and there's like a modernized version of what that looks like, and I think that Pogačar is the modernized version of what Merckx looks like. He's not gonna just sit at the front all day long and just blow everybody off the back. He's a modernized version of what that is, but I don't know if it's a curse because he's sure winning even when people are telling him so.
I could have sworn Evenepoel had some Eddie Merckx comparisons, and that was before the crash. So I'm not saying it's a curse, but Paul is what do you think?
Well, I think when you have somebody established, kind of like I'll use the Beatles, which I can't stand their music.
You can't stand the Beatles?
I can't handle it. But
Maybe you
everybody
should ride with other friends.
Yeah. 3 chords, people. It's just 3 freaking chords.
But they were the ones who did it first.
I know.
It's like
and that's it. So
Okay,
that's kind of my point is whether most people know who Eddie Merckx is. Most people know who the Beatles are.
Yeah.
But how many times in my lifetime I've heard this band's like the next Beatles or this band, everybody
Yeah.
uses that's the measuring stick. But when it comes from the prophet himself,
Yeah.
that's a
Okay.
big thing. Now,
That's a good point.
yeah, so we'll see. It's usually the Belgian papers that's the next Merckx, and if you think back, the next Merckx is always a Belgian.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure Eddie likes the idea of having somebody else being close to him that isn't a Belgian. So.
Okay. So Eddie just wants to stay big cheese in Belgium.
You could look at his, Pogačar. I mean, he's won 2 monuments in the Tour de France in 1 year. There's only one person that's done that. That's Eddie Merckx himself in 1969. Milan-San Remo, and he won the Tour, and I think he won Liège. I think it was Liège he won that one.
Has cycling changed so much, and has the competitive level changed so much that to actually expect somebody to have a career like Eddie Merckx is completely unobtainable?
Yeah.
I mean, the sport. I mean, I just think I was in cycling at the very best at the tail end of Eddie's career.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was in Bernardino years.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like Eddie's years were just go to the front, crush, destroy. That can't happen anymore in the current peloton. Am I?
You could argue that's what Tadej Pogačar did at
Lombardia.
Yeah. I mean, people attacked, and if you read everybody that was there, like couldn't even mark him.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, they were just like flabbergasted. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's also interesting to see how Pogačar won his first Tour. It wasn't with a team. He did it by himself, really. Like, obviously his team was there to help him, but in the high mountain stages, he was alone every time. But he still won somehow. So it's like, yes, he's not hitting the front, but he is also doing it by himself. He won that first one kind of by himself. So I can see a comparison there as well.
Yeah, Ian, he's obviously smart. I mean, he knows the situation. I mean, even his equipment. So in those high mountains, he switched from a disc brake to a rim brake, and thank you. And 2 of the 3 people on the podium were on rim brakes. at Lombardia. It's not dead yet.
No,
It's
not.
it's hanging on by a
And
thread.
I've seen some really slow fucking wheel changes.
Yeah.
in the Pro Peloton. And I mean, I'm seeing guys just basically get off their bike and just go, "Nah, I'll just help," because they just know it's going to take forever unless they're getting a bike change.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to reach a topic about a recall, so I won't go any further.
Actually, I do. Shit, did I include that story?
I will say the one thing that really did surprise me was how Pogacar descended. You could tell he was a little iffy, whether that be the braking system or whether that be just the descent in and of itself. But you could see how, who was it? Who got second?
The Italian from De Koenig, and it's slipping my mind, starts with an M.
Oh,
Yep.
shit, he was local too.
Yeah, that's it. He knows those roads. That's how he closed
Yeah.
it up. I mean, that's his hometown. He finished in his hometown.
Yeah, so I didn't know if it was that, but little conspiracy theory to think about.
It could be. I mean, there's 19 hairpins.
Yeah.
And they were varied. And so, yeah, Pogacar locked it up a couple of times, but so did Roglic on a disc brake and Vuelta and went in the ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hit that corner, it doesn't matter what brake system. If you're in you hit the apex
wrong
wrong,
line.
you got
Yeah.
wrong line.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to save you.
I did not include the Specialized Tarmac SL7 recall in my news story. So if you wanted to expand on that thought, I know you're going to blame it on the brakes, but it's actually a cockpit error from what I understand. It is a stop ride immediately.
Yeah, it is stop ride.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
The steer tubes are snapping. You can.
Yeah.
There's several YouTubes of people have actually sent in their pictures
No
that
shit.
have that. And some of the complaint with that is it looks really good, but the function. There's one guy out of Australia, and I can't remember his name, but he is the carbon guru of, well, he worked in the aerospace, and so he knows carbon really well. And he's very scientific, and he's kind of, maybe a geek about it. But he tries not to bash people, and he takes like broken bikes, like different all manufacturers, and takes dismantles them and says, here's the problem. Here's the problem. So he's not a fan, and a lot of people aren't a fan of that aero cockpit because
the
almost
internal
every
cable routing. Yeah. We're pointing to Jackson because he's got internal cable routing on his bike.
So you're trying to do, if you think about the function of that headset and then running cables through there, I mean, that they're trying to get it so it doesn't add too much weight, because in order to get it to work, you're going to have to use like sleeves of aluminum instead of carbon and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it can get really deep. So they're trying to make all this for, when it comes to selling bikes, it's more fashion than function, and the function should be first. And if it's a safety situation, for crying out loud, and if you watch people trying to route those hoses, brake hoses and stuff, and that almost every mechanic's like, God, I hate this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just ridiculous when because if you lose your steering, it's not a good thing.
Have you even opened the cockpit on your bike to even like?
Yeah.
Have you accessed any of the cable routing or anything like that within the headset area?
I have not, but what I really do appreciate what BMC did is that it's not a one piece, which would make it way more difficult if it was just that one piece. Because BMC thought, first of all,
bar stem.
But it's still that aero cockpit, and they also made it a two-piece for comfort, which I appreciate. So if for traveling or work purposes, it's going to be easier to get it apart rather than I have to take my whole handlebars apart. Great, now I have this thing. I haven't had a chance to, but honestly, I would have taken it to a shop anyways if something went wrong.
Yeah.
That's out of my.
Yeah. Scooter on the SL7?
Yeah.
He is.
Yep.
I remember I saw the recall and I was immediately going, dude, is this your bike? And I guess it's a good time for it.
Yeah, he's crossing.
Into the season.
Yeah.
He's racing cross, but
Still kind of sucks.
it totally sucks. Those are not cheap bikes.
And just after Specialized made their Crux, which was their cross bike, into a gravel bike.
Yeah.
That's not, you got problems if they're doing that same thing.
Yeah, tough week for
Well,
Specialized.
there was her Aethos or whatever it is.
Oh, the Aethos, yeah.
Yeah. That has no hidden cables.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
because it's a light bike. In order to get it down to 6.8 with this, you can't integrate all that. This just adds weight. So, people are screaming they want a lightweight bike. Now you have exposed cables. And you have to think about it. It's more fashion because what are you losing more? You gain a half a pound on a bike?
Yeah.
Or the aerodynamic drag you have on 2 cables?
Just shrink wrap them.
Yeah. It's
zip tie, man.
And then you get so and then you have people's safety involved just so you can sell a bike because that's what people do.
Is that what's failing? It's a cockpit failure where they're
with the hoses
losing steering.
Yeah, steering. There's different. Everybody has. What happens is that the cable in there will rub against something, and you can lose your brakes that way. I mean, if it shears off, you're going to lose
your hydraulics,
and then you have to use your shoes on your tires.
Yeah, like in Paris-Roubaix.
yeah,
like if
when your disc brakes stop, that's what you have to do. Shit. So.
Let's keep with this because I'm going to skip a news story and keep delving into the tech news. One bike to rule them all, and I know I always pronounce this brand name wrong, but I'm going to give it my shot. Wheelier Triestina has released the Rave SLR. I don't know if you guys have seen the news of this one. All new gravel race bike that will sit at the top of its gravel portfolio along the existing Jena, while also occupying the brand's endurance all-road segment. Design with performance is the priority. They claim it has created a bike that is both light and responsive with, quote, racing geometries, end quote. To that end, it borrows the same carbon fiber formulation used in the brand's top-tier road race bikes, the Filiante SLR and the Zero SLR, which has then been mixed with what the brand calls, and I'm quoting them, special viscoelastic fibers such as liquid crystal polymers, end quote, said to create a reactive frame with good ride quality. They've given the Rave SLR clearance for 700 by 42 millimeter tires, which is a big frickin' tire, as well as the ability to accept group sets from both road and gravel. Sides of the coin, mechanical, electric, and of course wireless iterations. Dual nature road and off-road intentions. So, you ready for this part? Clearly putting the Rave against the very best gravel bikes available, the high-performance intention of the bike is reflected at the available builds with an entry price into complete bikes starting at £8,580, which is over 11 grand. Starting. Before we all go, holy shit, what? Thoughts on, and I know that Paul's going to roll his eyes because we're going to talk about bikes other than road bikes, but thoughts on the concept that one bike could potentially work everywhere. I know we've touched on a lot of stuff like this, but it seems to keep popping up. People keep trying to make it something that is feasible that could happen. Is this a myth, in your opinions?
It's tough because the 3T Exploro tried to do this too.
Sure.
It was that Aero gravel bike, which I think it's a really good idea. If you're gonna race gravel, you might as well make it fast. But I think it's really tough because you're going to have, things are going to be built for a specific purpose, and they're not going to be built for, for instance, a gravel bike or an endurance bike isn't necessarily a hardcore road race bike in and of itself. I like the idea of one bike to rule them all, just because cost effective. This is one of the most expensive sports you could possibly get into.
Yeah, when you got a bike starting at 11 grand.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But I used to believe that it was a thing, but slowly but surely I've kind of begun to realize that there are specific bikes for a reason. I wouldn't take when we did BWR, I wouldn't take my BMC there. I wouldn't have done that just because
scratched it more than I did.
Yeah. But it just would have handled incorrectly, So I think if you want something for a specific purpose, make it for that. But I like the idea of one bike to rule them all. But I don't know if it's going to happen.
But correct me if I'm wrong, some of these gravel bikes are dealing with similar geometries to a road racing bike. A 73, 72 head tube, seat tube angle, which is not that far off.
But it's the wheelbase. The wheelbase
Yeah.
is different. That's where you're going to get handled more
Exactly.
than anything else.
Yeah.
Fork rake. To me, it's like that quiver killer idea. It's like Napoleon ice cream. Neapolitan, excuse me, Neapolitan ice cream.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like it's
yeah.
not popular. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want strawberry ice cream, you just get strawberry. I mean, it's like
Most people pick the kind out
yeah,
that they
exactly.
want anyway.
That's what
Yeah.
you're doing. So they're trying to get
Yeah.
that type of ice cream, and it doesn't work. And there's a few people like all three,
Yeah.
and it may work. But if you're a
Weirdos.
serious road rider, there isn't any gravel bike made that's gonna fill that bill. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a serious gravel person, I don't think
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see the crossover. But I think if you're a person that's just, you know what, I want to buy one bike. I like to ride to 7 Mile and look at the trees. It might be the bike, but for $11,000, I don't know.
That is the quiver killer right there.
Yeah.
The price tag.
Jesus. Yeah. I after we finished Belgian Waffle and Jackson, we put you on an airplane. You had to get home, so I stayed in California for quite some time and did some road riding on my gravel bike. Just because I had 700C wheels. I had I think it was what were we rolling like 32s. Yeah. I just put a little more air in them and went everywhere, and it was comfortable as hell. It was a nice ride. I know that if there was a local crit and I wanted to get into it, I could probably line up at a local crit. It probably wouldn't respond anywhere near like I wanted it to. It would be sluggish as shit, and I'd probably just have a good time and call it good. It reminds me kind of the our friends at Mojo Cyclery. Where's my
Cha-ching.
bell? Yeah, exactly. Number 5 there. It reminds me of that because those guys are, they're not in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, when these guys are talking about this Rave SLR, they intentionally mentioned occupying the brand's endurance all-road segment. Endurance is a different mentality than this type of a bike. And when you want a race bike, you want something that's got a little bit of a pop to it. You come out of a corner, and I keep associating it with a good pair of skis, a good pair of slalom skis that shoot you out of one corner into the next. You want that feel on a good solid road bike. You don't want that feeling when you're riding 7 or 8 hours on bumpy gravel roads, or even just rolling terrain while you're on a bike packing trip. I said that to intentionally bother you, Paul, because I know you've never bike packed.
That's a dumb word.
It's 2 words that shouldn't be. So I sure there can be one bike to rule them all if you're just intending to use them for specific purposes. Is that
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I remember when coming back from BWR and getting on my road bike, it was like you can tell when you're on, not to be like cheesy or anything, but you can tell when you're on a race machine. Like you like I switched from a relaxed geometry, a steel bike, not to mention, but
yeah.
You switch from one to the other, and it's like, wow, this is switching from my Subaru to a Ferrari. Like it's just 2 different things.
Ferrari. I've never driven a Ferrari. I have driven a
Neither have I.
Porsche, really high-end Porsche though. So I know what you're saying. Sorry, we can't make car jokes around Paul.
Well,
It's still too
rest in peace.
Yeah.
too
soon.
tender of a wound. How about and since we're here, and again, we're going to kind of rehash some old things, but the price of the sport. The fact that this is a high end bike from these guys, and they're going for it, And I think about the Specialized Tarmac guys who are out there going, holy shit, I spent $12,000 on a bike, and now I can't ride it. You're telling me I can't ride it? I mean, I guess recalls happen, but
They have a fix for it.
shit.
Though.
They
have
do.
a fix, yeah.
It's a heavy plastic shim they're going to put in your head tube.
Would you trust it until? Well, the thing is how long has this been going on? And Specialized finally says, "Hey, we've got a problem here, but we got to fix it." How long does it take for them to? They didn't just go like, "Oh, we could fix that."
Yeah.
Have
you seen Fight Club?
No, I haven't.
Oh, where he's on the airplane telling people about the statistics of how long you just let something go before you issue a recall, and it's just like, hey, the percentage of deaths are way too low. We're not going to issue a recall.
We'll work on that.
Fuck?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. And maybe it isn't the case, but you have to, wonder.
With 11 grand for a beginning level of a bike, can we officially lay down the stamp that cycling has become completely out of hand budget wise? I mean, enough of this shit. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Have you ever have any of you guys ever been on a 10 to 12 grand bike? I've never ridden one. No, none of us have. So we can't say necessarily. I mean, it's like when you're drinking wine. If somebody tells you you're drinking a $200 bottle of wine, your taste buds are probably going to go, "Wow, that's amazing! Velvet, the aftertaste, the bouquet, the piquant aftertaste, all this kind of stuff." But if you have it in a bag and somebody tells you it costs $6, you're going to probably say, "Well, that's nice."
Yeah.
I just don't understand the concept of somebody spending that much on a bike and it's suddenly performing that much more majestically.
Yeah, I have said this as of recently a lot. Jack, he's thinking about getting a new bike, and he said, "What's the difference? Would you recommend Ultegra or Durace?" And I was like,
"Neither."
or like the switch between, now that everything is electronic, it's Rival and Force and Red. It's we're getting to that point where there is really no difference besides weight. And I will, for the rest of my days, always suggest go for an Ultegra or go for a Force, because they're going to shift the exact same. It's just you're sacrificing weight. And for people like me, who I'm not a pro, and in all reality, I don't need to spend that much money to shed a couple grams. Like, if it's going to shift the exact same, I don't know if I need to spend that much more money. So it just doesn't, I don't know, all of that stuff doesn't really mean anything to me anymore.
I've never gone from a SRAM Red to a SRAM Force. I've never gone from a Durace to an Ultegra within the same year, within the same technology levels and models. So I don't know if I could compare and contrast the two. It'd be a fun experiment to be able to go for a ride and say, "Wow, the Durace is so much smoother," or "Wow, the SRAM Red is that much smoother," or "The lightweight nature does make a difference." I mean,
I think anymore all you're going to get is, "Wow, the difference between mechanical and electronic." I don't think you're going to get, "Wow, this feels different" anymore. I think we're at that point.
Care to bring an old rim brake perspective?
Hey, boys. Gotta do a lot of
You boys best keep sweating out there.
Well, I think the price, the thing is what makes these guys money is what they're after. I mean, manufacturers. It is not the bike racer who's spending 11 grand. He's not. It is is somebody who can afford it. It's in a social
It's
economic
the coffee shop
level.
poser.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I would like to ride that bike, but I'm not going to spend 11 grand on it. And you can go on YouTube, you can read any article. And if you blindfold people, you will not notice a difference between Durace and Ultegra. You're not going to notice a difference in performance. The big thing is weight, and I am not a big weight weenie, but I'll go as low as I can until I think that this product's able to handle the wear and tear of what I put on the bike. Yeah. I'm not gonna oh shit, I got to be careful because I'm hitting gravel, and this part or these hubs aren't designed for that, or these wheels. I don't want to have that. But
and you don't have some guy in a van behind you repairing your bike every night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 24 wheels for a whole team, which anyway, that's another topic we'd talk about too.
Yeah.
But I know that the manufacturers are that's why we have hidden cables. We have the problem that we have because the people that have that ability to spend that much money, you're going to spend $11,000, and look how clean that looks. Or one with cables.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And disc brakes, that looks like advanced. Rim brakes have been around for a while.
Yeah.
And that's why they're dying out. And mechanical. I mean, everybody likes electronic, but there is some flaws in that. It's not. But the manufacturers have a tendency to sell like this solves all your problems if you switch to disc brakes or electronic shifting or to get rid of the cables, you're going to gain X amount. I mean, that's their sales tip. But it's unfortunate that SRAM and Shimano don't offer a mechanical, like good quality mechanical rim brake version because that $11,000 bike, you're knocking about $3,000 off, and the weight's going to be down.
Yeah.
But no one's buying those bikes because the only ones that want to buy that bike are cheap bastards like you and I. And we're like, we'll run our shit until it falls apart, until we have to buy a bike or we crash it or something.
But don't you think there would be a marketplace in there that manufacturers could find a brilliant market gap there of people who are? I mean, we're always going to know the people who have an incredible, successful accounting job and they are training for their first Ironman and they go out and they buy a $15,000 tarmac.
Well, and I agree, and I think after this COVID thing, we talked about. People were getting on bikes.
Yeah.
Well, you make this leap that somebody's like, I really like riding it on the road, and they buy a used, Clinago or something like that for a couple of grand at like Pro Closet or something. And then next thing you know, I want something better, something new, and they got to jump up to $11,000, another $10,000 more. I mean, there isn't anything in between. And
I think there's a gigantic hole in the market that is being missed, and it's turning out to be gravel bikes are up until this story, gravel bikes were fairly affordable. Mountain bikes have been fairly affordable, and when I say fairly affordable, I'm still talking $3,000 to $6,000, which is a lot of fucking money when you're talking about a bicycle. The average person looks at you when you tell them. You spent $7,000 on your bike. They're going to go, what? Why? I just think there's you mentioned it, Paul, and I didn't even think about it, that why there can't be I don't want to say a mid-range because I don't want to cheapen the experience, but a range of bikes that still offer mechanical rim brake performance at a more affordable. I mean, if you can make Shimano 105 group sets, why can't you make a range of componentry that sticks to the traditional technology, yet still becomes an affordable price point? If I will buy electronic shifting, I will.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
either.
I think it's gorgeous. But you and
I,
the three of us sitting here, are people who will spend that much money on a bike eventually when we have the cash. We want a performance racing bike. But if you've got an average person who wants a performance racing bike but doesn't have the sickness to have been to it so long that they're begging to spend all their free income, why not have a $3,000-$4,000 really nice bike that can compete with those high-end bikes? I mean, is the bike industry shooting themselves in the foot by offering that? Is it everybody has to jump up or we go out of business? I don't know. It just sounds like they'd sell a lot more bikes.
Well, I think a really special and interesting brand is Canyon, because it is one of those brands that doesn't deal with shops. It's direct to consumer, which lowers their prices. And I'm not saying skip your local bike shop.
No,
give them your support. But I think Canyon is a very interesting brand because they can lower their prices to a point that other brands can't. And they also do a thing where they offer the same frame as the top end range, but with different group sets all together. For instance, Tyler Pierce, the vegan cyclist, rode Unbound on a $3,000 bike, like top end Canyon Grizzle frame, but with mechanical GRX. He rode the same thing for the Impossible route that they just recently put out, which was like 4 days, 800 miles, but it was all on mechanical shifting, which makes me really go, wow, you can offer a peak top end bike with shifting that is not maybe at the top end, but it can still do all of the same things better than other people's can.
Yeah.
So I just and they do the same with their road line as well. They have the top CFR, but then they go all the way down to the CF SLX, which is like mechanical everything at that point. So it's really interesting how a direct-to-consumer brand can do something like that, but you see a lot of these other ones that have to kind of advertise that SRAM red bike, and then you move down, and it's only like $1,000 less.
It just makes sense to me as a business model that if I can sell more of something that's slightly less in cost as opposed to less of something that costs more, does it equate? Does it? Am I benefiting as a manufacturer?
Well, if you look at the way that, if you design a frame with disc brakes, there's no option to have, well, here's our frame with disc brakes and rim brakes. Mm-hmm. So that already throws you in the category.
Yeah.
It's going to be more expensive. It takes more material and adds weight to that frame because of the disc brakes, the way it's designed. So then if you say, well, we're with this, they can't have disc brakes, mechanical disc brake, electronic frames. I mean, it just adds so much to it. I mean, you can get little caps, like my BMC was in that transition between, I could use it for mechanical, which I do, or I can go electronic, and it's got where your cable routing goes in. I have little caps that I save that you can pop in there, and it fills in those holes.
Okay.
So, but I think a lot of them are just saying, well, screw it. Every bike, if you sell a bike at $3,000, let's say $4,000 in a Tegra mechanical at $5,000, $6,000, probably around $6,000, right? And then there's electronic that's a little bit less quality, like maybe a Force, you know, or something. Yeah. That's $2,000 more. You're at that point where people are like, you know, that seems old-fashioned. There's my advancement, you know. And that's what they're finding out, that people are willing to spend an extra $2,000. So they're giving what people want, and that's what they're purchasing. And so, and you got to, you know, in my opinion, if you're manufacturing, you have to fine line. You can't give too many options on the design because you're going to have so many different frames. You have colors, you have, you know, you have mechanical or electronic, disc brake, rim brake. So they just said, listen, you know, you had SRAM and Shimano saying, upper end, no mechanical.
Yeah. We almost need the dealer
disc brakes.
This, but yeah.
Although Shimano did come out with the rim brakes on their newer. Mm-hmm. But, you know, are they going to continue? Most likely not. No, you know.
It's kind of like, it reminds me, you and I, Paul, on a ride had a discussion about the days when bike frames were centimeter increments. Mm-hmm. You would buy a 58, a 57, a 56, mm-hmm. a 55, sometimes in half centimeter increments. Yeah. And that was the range of the bikes. And then I think right around the time of mountain bikes, it switched to a small, medium, mm-hmm. large. It just became a stems and seat posts kind of a game.
Yep.
And yeah, so I guess you're right. Less options,
it makes
more cost effective.
Yeah, your manufacturing costs are, you know, way down if you're not making so many variety.
Yeah,
because there's always something that you think's going to work. You put on production, and you think, oh, this is the hot color or the hot mm-hmm. option, and for some reason it doesn't stick, or the steer tube snaps, you know. And then it's like all of a sudden, like everybody scrambles, and you know, now we got to rethink the game, and now we're sitting on, what are we going to do with all these bikes in the boxes, SL7s that are sitting here? Do the bike shops have to pay to get their mechanics to put that sleeve in? So, you know, who's going to cover that cost? Yeah. But that's the game that they're willing, I think, to them, they're willing to gamble. This is what we want to do, and this is how we're making money.
So we didn't solve anything.
No.
I wanted to solve something. I thought we were onto something there.
Back to steel bikes, 1 centimeter custom builders.
Yeah.
No big boys.
I miss the look of a beautiful custom bike, though. I do. Man, my Harry Gary over there is still a beautiful bike. But you're not going to see that anymore.
Nope.
Shit. Well, lost that one. Let's get to the topic, shall we? Topic brought to us by our friends at Wahoo. You know Wahoo. Click the link on packfiller.com and get your computer, your trainer, your accessories, and now the new system, SYSTM, a training platform that takes all the greatness of the Sufferfest and adds so much more, you guys. And you guys don't know about the topic, so I'm throwing it out there. And and this is all completely about me, and it's dealing with my inner fears and my paranoia, and not the frogs. It's dealing with my fat fears, my personal fat shaming. Let's talk about it, you guys. Winter is coming. The light is low. The comfort food is delicious. The beer is getting darker, and the bike is getting lonely. If you're like me, you're already seeing a decline. I'm going to say to the listening audience right now, I am 3 pounds heavier than I was a couple weeks ago, and I'm freaking out.
Do you need another beer?
Yeah, exactly. This is athletic, actually. While this is normal and probably quite healthy in the scheme of things, right, Jackson? Like you were saying at the onset of the show, it's like, okay, I'm fine with a little decline now, and okay, and I guess I should be okay with a 3 to 5 pound weight gain. I'm not pulling it on Jan Ulrich here, but that's for the old people. Yeah, Ulrich used to get chubby in the winter, but it's always worked out for him. We all have our fall and winter routines, and let's share what has worked and what needs to be worked on, and potentially come up with some ideas on how to get better, or at least stop the proverbial bleeding, I guess, when it comes to fitness. So, gentlemen, what do you do to keep fit in the off season, in the winter months? Jackson, you just went to school and you were young, and so you're burning like 100 calories a minute right now, just sitting there. So just wait.
Yeah.
Hey, you boys.
Yeah. I will say that I personally got pretty lucky with my grandfather's metabolism. I eat something.
Skip the generation.
Yeah. But I eat something and it's boom, immediately I have burned it. Yeah. That's just how I work. I have always been that way. That's why I'm so skinny. But also during the winter, I usually ride Zwift. I ride outside a good amount. I really like that feeling of riding outside. I'll brave as much cold as I possibly can. I can only take so much. But yeah, I still try and ride as much as I can, do other things here and there, but I'm pretty comfortable with, I'm now coming to terms with that kind of winter off season, kind of laying low a little bit. That's how life works, having a job, still trying to get used to my routine. That's another thing that I need to get used to with Zwift. I love it, but I have to come home and have the energy to be able to do it now, which I'm interested to see how that winter job thing comes together.
Fucking sucks, man. It sucks. I'm not an early morning person. I can't work out in the morning. I've set my alarm early in the morning, and every time I've hit snooze, I've never been able to do it. But Paul, what do you do?
Well, I don't think it's working because I've done it for quite some time, and it seems like I gain a lot of weight.
This is a guy who brought over Bund cakes tonight.
I brought out some Bund cakes.
Bund cakes.
Yeah. And that's a problem. It's like, the people you hang, especially when you get older, there's a lot more gathering. You hang out with friends. Hey, you want to go grab a beer? It's a lot easier. So, yeah, I think I've talked about this before, probably for the last 3 years I've been on the show, that, I want to do yoga and stuff. And I think I just need to find a time spot and making that commitment. I need to do something other than just riding bikes. And when I can ride outside, I will. And I still want, a cyclocross bike just for the winter or the bad weather or that type of stuff. So that's where I get the most joy. But and when I think back, there's a time to rest. I mean, and I think mentally too, when you're not, we haven't really hit it for the last 2 years. So it's really hard for me to get motivated to work out indoors or outdoors because I don't have my target, like I said, has always been bike racing. So it's like, I got pretty excited a little bit this year, but we had some smoke roll in, and then that type of thing. So, so I think I'm hoping to, do a little bit more core workout, yoga, and then for me, I chase the calendar, and that's where the mental part of it. I started looking after January. They start popping up. Washington State Bicycle Association has their calendar pops up, and then I start making targets, and then doing the research, seeing who's raced that in the past, what they're, who's my category, what's the course like, what are they doing their option, and that gets the mental juices. Then I can really, by January 1st, it's usually I shave the legs. It's a mental thing. I don't need it at that point in time, but I shave the legs. I mean, I just sit there and it's ready to go. I'm going full steam ahead. So.
And I have personally found that I too really didn't start until January of this last year. I mean, I was doing stuff. I was kind of trying to keep involved. I think wasn't the unendorsed classic in December last year. Yep. Yeah. So we were doing stuff. But yeah.
Consistency is a huge thing.
Sure. You incorporate the stairs from hell, Paul. Describe that workout, why it's a part of your winter regimen, and why?
Well, funny you mentioned that, because my wife says, when are you going to start doing the stairs?
Yeah, this was always your thing. Yeah. Did you ever do that with us, Jackson?
No, but I'm here for it this year.
Yeah, right.
Man.
Okay. Oh. So it's in Spokane. There's no one knows it's a mystery of these stairs. It's 63 steps.
I keep expecting to see Joaquin Phoenix dancing down them in The Joker.
Yeah.
Except they're shittier stairs. They're shittier stairs. Yeah.
And it's steep. When you stand at the bottom, you're looking straight up. Yeah. It is a big climb.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in this area on the South Hill use it. There was an old gentleman who's got, if you look, there's these old stone pillars. So going back, let me digress. No one knows who installed these. They've been around since like 1900s, yeah. Huh. No, the city didn't do it. Somebody paid to have these steps put in. And so in the winter, when it gets bad snows, they close one half of it off, But if they have these stone kind of like basalt pillars that they've, stacked, and they're flat on the top. And if you look, people have twigs and rocks, and that's how they keep track. They go up to the top and move a stone over to the other pillar. And so and they know they've climbed it. It's kind of interesting.
It's kind of a Blair Witch feel, but in a cute way.
Yeah.
A cute Blair Witch.
Very cute. Yeah. So, I mean, I use it for interval purposes, and it is exhausting for me, and I do like the routine where I do every other step. I do like sets of threes, and I have this pattern that I've done and worked up. And I've always benefit from that. I did a rubbish job of even doing it last year. I think I only did it 3 times, but I used to do it once a week, and it's great. It's an alternative.
Yeah.
So
I've done it with you maybe 3 times, I think, and each time by the end of the workout, you're kind of getting that coughing up. You're tasting
crit
a little
cough.
bit of the crit cough. Yeah, it's in the middle of winter, it's just that cold air. It just destroys you. It's brutal. And is it just a? I mean, you can't really say it's going to be the most beneficial cycling workout in the world, but is it just something for you that like pounds the heart rate, keeps that going in your brain, that pain tolerance?
Yeah, I mean, cardiovascularly and getting recovery is great. It is something that diverts me away from just cycling, which is what I've always done. As I get older, too, I know that my lateral strength on my ankles and stuff are getting worse because I don't do anything. I used to play basketball in the off season. Your good friend and old teammate Mike Myronley and I used to go down to Gonzaga and just do pickup games and stuff. And
really?
We used to play basketball all the time. But I don't do that anymore because they'll snap an Achilles. Who knows what else is happening? Hey, boys.
I need a different one that isn't just that, But yeah. How about, so cross training is I remember that was a big thing. Cross country skiing, running, but now everybody's switching to kind of fat bike or and things like that. I would love to cross country ski. I just don't have the funding for it. I am a big downhill skier. I think I'm one of the last ones in my family. I'm looking at Jackson. He's like, yeah, you are.
I just hate the cold. I hate the cold.
Me too.
Yeah. And so downhill skiing, if you do it right, your heart gets slamming. You get going. I mean, it's not riding chairlifts and drinking beer all day, you know. So it's not winter golf. I just want people to know that.
But cross country skiing is an absolute great crossover.
Great.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
But here's my problem with it. And I got set up with skate skis, and I didn't really properly learn how to skate ski, which I probably would have really enjoyed. But I did, diagonal classic style.
Sure.
And the thing is you wake up in the morning, you look at your temperature, on classic. You're guessing what kind of wax, kick wax.
Yeah.
You get all that prepped, and you're an hour and a half to get to like Mount Spokane. You're almost 2 hours into it. You're going to last about an hour and a half.
That's
at
a
the
long
most.
time.
And you're exhausted. Then you got to pack everything up, right? And you got another hour and a half, 2 hours to get home. You got to get everything unpacked.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, no, that's not me. If there was a way I could cross-country ski in my backyard or in a park, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
See,
That's not.
that's my thing with skiing in general. So, like, let's say you go to Schweitzer, which, if for the listeners that don't know, that's about 2 hours out from Spokane, Washington. At that point, especially with the price of it all, because we know the price.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Just under $100 a day.
Yeah. Which, drive 2 hours, you get up at the ass crack of dawn.
Like 6:30. Yeah.
Which,
What? Ass crack?
That's for him. That's it. That's it.
well, I get up at 6 every day.
Yes,
So,
so you don't want to do it on the weekend.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the thing. And then you get there, you spend 3 hours there, and then you go home and you're like, I'm exhausted, but most of the day was spent driving.
Yeah.
That's the tough part for me.
Yeah.
Especially you freeze your ass off all day. Ugh.
And if you spent, let's say, $80 on a ticket, and the snow's shit, and you might guilt yourself into saying, I got to get 12, 15 runs in because I just spent $80 on the ticket.
Yeah.
And you
do you ever get 12 runs in? Have you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, usually. I mean,
it's never that crowded anymore.
Oh, it is, but the high speed lifts, it doesn't affect it so much anymore. I mean, I always base a good day off of at least 10 runs. And that's $8 a run, blah, 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 put in that, everything like that. It breaks down. And, I've always loved it. I mean, I've skied since I was 4 years old downhill, so, and I raced for a long time. And so it's the thing for me, but, weights or strengthening, you guys gonna? Paul, you mentioned yogurt.
I like yogurt too.
I need some big fattening dairy. Yeah.
Even if I do push-ups, sit-ups, planks, that type of thing, I think I don't need too much weight. I mentioned to Bike Fit Sam that I'd like to work on my left leg, the one that I tore my hamstring. So, and it's just a matter of setting that up, I guess. But, I think anything other than what I've done for the last 5 years is going to help me out.
I need core.
Yeah,
I do.
Core too.
My back is so bad. I get up like I come out of my sofa like a sprinter in a track where you got to stay low and slowly kind of come up. That's how I am. I'm just like going,
making dad noises.
There I'm good.
Yeah.
Now I'm up to speed. And I think it's time to probably pay a lot more attention to that kind of stuff this year. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of that. So how about some winter challenges to give you something to prepare for? Just kind of brainstorming here. Because like Jackson, I remember your knighthood attempt was a huge motivator for you.
Yeah, and it was way too much of a whim, I will say.
Sure.
My girlfriend and I were talking about it the other day, funnily enough. But I did not train for that at all. And that was like beginning of January, so hardcore midwinter, where I had not been riding that hard. And that was one of the hardest things I did up until BWR. But it was like that. Yeah, I was going to mention having a motivator in that time is a big helper for winter fitness.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that kind of keeps you going?
Well, other than what I said, but I think I'm going to do a slight sponsor plug. I'm really interested in the systems from Wahoo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll look at it and I'll probably do it. My Wahoo Snap is not. That must have been a turd from the get-go, and I didn't know.
I've got one.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that.
You can take mine. Okay. My wife's never going to fucking use it.
Why are we whispering?
We're whispering because my wife's in the same house.
She could hear us.
If I whisper it, it does. It's like moving in front of a T-Rex.
What we'll do, we'll swap them.
Yeah.
She'll never know.
She'll never know them.
She'd be like, Pat, this is really hard.
Yeah. What's going on?
Welcome to my world, sweetheart. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll work.
I thought that's how you liked
Take
it.
mine.
Yeah.
Take it seriously because
Well, so I'd like to do that, especially because now Supperfest is a part of Wahoo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the cartoon thing, the interactive upload a burrito or some kind of helmet truck thing. That just doesn't interest me.
One.
Yeah. So it just I don't know. It doesn't interest me at all. But I mean, because I spent so much time, in my past, looking at old race videos and sitting on the rollers, then the Supperfest looks more like something that I would probably connect to.
Yeah.
It is a lot like
than
that.
little cartoons and Mario Brothers and stuff.
Over 200 workouts.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds like a gigantic sponsor plug, but I've been a member and fan of the Supperfest since Dave McQuillan was doing it in his basement.
Well, and the systems there, like when you first mentioned it, I mean, they have yoga. They have other things outside of just like
strength
weights.
training.
Yeah.
Without weights.
Yeah.
You use a water bottle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, those are the things that now I've got one package as opposed to like my cycling, access to cycling races.
Mm-hmm.
I have like 4 apps to watch bike racing.
Yeah.
Now I've got just for indoor training. I don't have to have a bunch of stuff. Everything's there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, would you do something like our virtual classic again? Would that be something that would intrigue you, or you think you'd do it again?
Yeah. I think I would do something very similar to that. I'll probably do some Zwift races because I love that competitive edge. It's something that like kind of gets me going. So I'll probably do some of those, especially now that I got a space. Yeah. Which is a big thing to mention with this type of stuff,
Oh yeah.
Having exactly. Having a good space for your training is so important. When you do it in your bedroom, when your cat's freaking out, it's just you're not going to get the same result out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you end up cutting it short or something like that,
It just sucks. Yeah. And I've recently come to realize that having a dedicated room for that, oh my God, it makes the experience way better. Mm-hmm. It's really nice.
For the listener, I'd like to know if they'd like something like that again, a stage race or even just single day kind of things or even time trials or something like that. I think it'd be kind of interesting. I was going to talk about a news story earlier and then would have brought me to this, but what do you guys, would you guys ever consider like this is really horrible to say this, an hour record attempt of your own, like a competition amongst friends? It's like you can ride whatever trainer you want, you can ride whatever platform you want, but it's you on your bike for 60 minutes straight. Whoever goes the farthest wins.
That's an interesting idea. I do like the idea. I
Just
like that.
A friendly hour record, not like trying for some kind of Zwift or anything like that. I just
I think for me, I like the idea, but for me, it's like if on the road or on the track for an hour record, I mean, the conditions are all the same. Mm-hmm. So there's as much as they try and equal all of our, trainers and stuff, they're not equal.
No.
So someone's going to really either lose big time or win easily.
Sure.
I mean, that potential is always there. But if you do it just for shits and giggles, I think it'd be fine.
Aerodynamics don't count.
No, it doesn't.
Nope.
No.
Not at all.
And that's where I lose out because that's...
Now, how much faster are your wheels rolling on a set of rollers? Is your bike moving faster on rollers with less resistance?
So, you're thinking not using...
If I were to just take a standard set of rollers, put my computer on my bike with a speed sensor, that's the other problem you'd have to worry about because you don't have a proper speed sensor anymore.
Yeah. So the only way you could do it, you would have to do it like find a course on Zwift like you did on the,
Yeah, and just
you say do this course or you have to do this loop for an hour.
yeah, okay.
Like what is it, the volcanoes
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Something fairly flat. Or London. London has a TT track
London
that you
was
can
flat.
go
Yeah.
just around and round and round.
I think it'd be funny. Or beer mile. I think a beer mile would be funny. You guys know what a beer mile is,
No.
right? Oh, it's the running. It's a running challenge where you go to a track, and because 4 laps of a track is a mile.
Wow.
Every time you come in, you have to pound a beer,
What kind of beer?
any kind of beer.
I'm not
It's
going
not
to.
going to be a
No, not when you're drinking here.
No.
But I'm just saying, you pound a beer, and by the end of it, you're a little buzzed, and you're probably on the verge of vomiting. And on a bike, you don't do that because
You fall over.
You're going to fall
Yeah.
over and kill yourself. But on a stationary bike, Happy New Year.
There you go. How about this? I'll throw it out there.
All right.
New Year's Eve. I don't know when it fall on. We could do
31st.
that. We could film it, and so we could have us chugging beers every lap, whatever we set on
Yeah.
each person.
And just
It's going into New
go as
Year's.
hard as
beer
you can.
mile.
Yeah.
tell me that wouldn't be hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd condone it, but, we could all.
Well, I'm not falling over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Well,
gonna
maybe.
stay on
I
our-
better not.
Stay on a stationary bikes, so we're good. Jackson, you're gonna have to find a beer because if you chug ciders, I think it's gonna hammer.
Unless
you.
we match the alcohol content
Okay.
on our beer.
Yeah, because these one I've got here is 6.5. So
Oh.
I can find a beer like that.
Yeah.
I chug half of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd only, but so you'd have to figure out it's
Ounces.
not a mile, obviously.
No, we'd have to figure out like a lap, whatever
Yeah,
whatever
like-
course you figure out. We'd have to get the details.
Yeah.
So So what does a mile take for running? So people
For
doing
super
6,
fast
7,
runners, let's say
7
6 miles.
6 mile,
6 minutes.
6
Yeah.
minute miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just figure out at what point, like every 6 minutes or maybe every 10 minutes or whatever you're covering, then that's when you
Yeah.
stop.
I'm trying to think what would
10-minute effort and chug a beer.
yeah
10-minute effort, chug a beer 4 times though.
Yeah.
See this. I could get excited for.
Wasn't the topic about staying healthy and
Yeah.
in good shape?
But something
And
to
so now we throw
train
this
for.
out? Yeah.
Jackson's got to get his alcohol tolerance up. How about since we're talking about it, since Paul's potentially talking about joining system, because we didn't have the punishment test, we didn't do the punishment. We didn't do the time trial this year. I say we make Paul agree to a 4DP test on that bike, on the funny bike.
I got to find a
Hooked up
seat
to a
post.
trainer.
Yeah.
that might
But it's not that
snap.
yeah, it's not that bad if it's in
Yeah.
the trainers when you're on the road.
But
Because that position is not that.
you haven't done a 4DP test.
No, I haven't.
This is, and I don't want this to turn into a gigantic ad for
Is-
Wahoo, but it is, correct me if I'm wrong, Jackson, it is a warm-up. It's 2 all-out sprints as hard as you can go, and then a 5-minute effort,
5
and
minute,
then a
20
20-minute effort,
and
then a 1-minute effort. And by the end of it, you very well consider a career in golf. It is horrible, but it's your base. It's your how you establish your entire training format for the platform. So you do it.
And you want me to base my platform based on a
No,
bike
you
that's
just
really
do
out of
that
my
on
position.
that bike. You do it again some other time, but for the sake of video and the audience laughing at your expense, yeah, you do it on the funny bike.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just do it on your regular bike. We film that anyway because it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible. So, or an hour record attempt on the funny bike. There we go. So, I think it could be fun. Or there are other things out there, and yeah, again, I can't believe this is turning into an advertisement, but Competitive Cyclists just put out a challenge. Ride 13 hours from October 10th to the 31st.
that's not that bad.
No. Well, that's
Road or
21 days. Anything. Indoor, outdoor, whatever you want. They're putting these things out. And they're, Strava does stuff like this too, where they have their challenges and stuff like that to help you kind of keep motivated. I don't know. I think it, and Competitive Cyclists is offering up prizes, drawings, things like that. system, aka the Sufferfest, used to do a tour of Sufferlandria every February, where you did a specific workout or workouts for a full week, and they had gigantic prize drawings at the end of that too. And I thought it was cool. Again, these are ways to keep you motivated. Something to say, oh, in February I got to be ready for this. Whatever they might change the name to. So things like that. Has anybody ever taken a actual spinning class?
No.
Go to a studio. You have.
Years ago, Spokane Club, a couple of guys from the morning ride said, hey, why don't you come down and try the spin class? And it was interesting. That was before all the disco stuff going on with the flashing lights and stuff. It was a guy who was actually a very strong triathlete, but he crossed a line where he had us like stand up, sit down, which is fine, doing all this like interval, cool down, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, now pedal backwards. And I'm like, no. What? That's just stupid. And then a couple hey, you're supposed to pedal backwards. No, I'm not pedaling backwards. There's no reason for me to ever. I'll never pedal backwards. Yeah. I don't ride fixies, and even if you do, you don't do it unless you do a trick bike stuff. So
I would pay for a video of Paul attending a modern day spinning class.
Yeah, it's different from the one I went
Wouldn't
to.
that be just lights off, glow lights, shit like black lights everywhere, and Paul attends the spinning class. I would pay for that. I would pay to watch that. listeners, we get enough people to demand it. I bet we could talk Paul into it. Yeah. Or
I know somebody who does spin classes at the Union.
Do you really?
Yeah. I haven't talked to her for a while, but if it ever comes to that, we'll see.
I say, okay, it's up to the listeners. You guys got to chime in and let us know. Other thing that I think it'd be interesting for us to do and other people to do and let us know is to test other virtual cycling platforms. There's Be Cool, there's Trainer Road, there's RGT, which I didn't know, Road Grand Tours Cycling. It's competitor to kind of Zwift and things like that, and there are a couple out there. I think it'd be kind of fun to try some of those things out. The RGT ones actually allows you to upload your own GPX files, and it'll try to create a ride for you based upon your own, what you've done. So I think it'd be kind of interesting, and and of course, Paul, I'd love to get your input as a newbie to the Wahoo system and see what you think. So I mean, if you do it, so there we go. How do you guys pass the time while training in the winter?
That's a personal question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, movies, audio, podcasts, books, TV, movies, others. I know a guy who used to say he would start a ride on Monday Night Football at the kickoff and ride until the closing of the game.
Oh, that sucks.
Which is over 3 hours.
Easy 4.
Yeah.
I have found that music. Well, okay, this has a backstory to it. So my sophomore year, I had a fairly awful roommate of college, and I found that music was something that really soothed that hate. So ever since then, music has been something that kind of relaxes me, kind of makes me feel
like Rage of the Machine.
Yeah. Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Except my roommate, had a 1980s desktop, so another story.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's what I use. Music helps me focus in a lot of ways. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can either be slow, fast, medium, whatever. It just helps me kind of get in the zone and kind of get everything out. I also have found that Matt Stevens, his podcast, a former guest of our own here, that is something that I find very entertaining.
Friend of the show, Matt.
Yeah. I found that very entertaining in a lot of ways. I listen to Lachlan Morton, Cassia Niwi-Adoma, a lot of these different writers. Whenever I just kind of am on there, it helps me laugh every once in a while. So
sure,
I like that type of stuff.
Paul, hey, what do? You put in old 1980s videos.
Well,
right?
I used to, yeah. And obviously, I'm a little burned out because I haven't done it, a year and a half, I think. No, and I would listen to music while I was, watching those old videos and stuff.
Sure.
But, I think it's time for me to approach it a little bit different. Like I said, that's systems and stuff, but. Yeah, I do listen to podcasts at work time, but I don't like working out to podcasts. It's just not the same. And, you know.
For those of you working out right now, keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Do another interval.
You got this.
That's right.
You got this.
But in the old days, there was the old Star Trek used to come on. I'm not a science fi guy,
Yeah.
but because it was so campy and cheesy, it like entertained me. And then during commercials, I would do intervals every time we broke for a commercial.
Wow.
And the worst part is that at the half hour, it was like 4 minutes, and so I had to do like a 4-minute, like try and you're just hanging on by a thread, and you're thinking, oh, this has got to be the last commercial, so I'll push it. Oh shit, it's another 30-second one.
Mr. Microphone commercial.
Yeah,
something
Mr.
like that.
Microphone.
Just trying to think of something really old.
That is old.
No, that's a good thing. That's a good way to do it.
if you find
any
a
way
show,
to mix it up like that.
Yeah.
I'm a big audiobook guy. I have an Audible account, and I listen to a lot of that stuff constantly throughout the winter. I fly through books that way.
While on the bike training.
Yeah, while on the bike. Yeah,
Do you do any? You just listen and turn?
Yeah.
You
No,
don't-
I put my specific workouts on the TV screen and listen to a book.
Oh,
I I turn off, for example, Sufferfest or System. I turn off the sound effects. Or if I'm riding Zwift, I turn off all that stuff, and I'll just watch it, but I listen to the book on via my phone.
See, if I'm putting in a hard effort, I don't think I'll be listening.
Really?
I'd be thinking
That's
about.
how I am too,
I'd be shutting down.
I'll tune
Or
in and
not
out.
putting in enough effort.
Yeah.
I'd be thinking, if I'm listening this, I'm not going hard enough.
I'll tune in and out. Mind you, if I'm doing a Zwift race or something like that, shit, I'm listening to Green Day and Foo Fighters and hard, and it's just, fuck you, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Exactly, stuff like that, because I need that kind of energy. But if I know that if I'm doing a structured interval workout, I'll listen to a book, and I love it. It's great. Yeah,
Or a podcast.
You know what? The irony is that I've been in this industry since 1999, and there aren't a ton of them that I'm really huge into. There are some. Don't get me wrong. I obviously I like the format, but there aren't a ton that I'm like, oh my god, I need the new one of this.
I started cutting some of the fat, some of the ones that
Yeah.
it's like they get halfway into it. But Matt Stevens always has a good chuckle.
Matt's
in all
a
of
great
them.
guy. Yeah,
He had
he
there
gets the
for
joke.
Guess That Snack was one of
Yeah.
these little contests. And the latest one is during the women's tour in Britain. He was interviewing people, like Lizzie Digdon was one of them. And it's like, what kind of biscuit do you have with the cup? None of them had. He had like this jingle. It's like everything's been a bust, but he keeps running with it. He does a good job.
When I had him on the interview, you guys can find it on the website. I started off by saying, "Okay, what am I drinking now?" And I went. Then he said, "Well, it's nighttime there, so I'm guessing it's a tea or something like that." It is. He got the joke. He got that I was a fan and busted his balls a little bit. But funny guy, great. But one of the great
and great announcer
personalities
too.
of the sport.
I love when he's doing the show.
I do have to say that something else I'm going to probably use when I'm just doing a standard ride are the GCN movies. I watched the Challenge, one of the tandem ride endurance ride. I don't know if you guys seen that one. Really good documentary filmmaking those guys are doing. I think it's they do really fun stuff and a great way to pass the time. You got an hour video, you just ride for it or something like that.
Have you seen any of the legends?
I've seen the
Museo.
Museo Legends. Yeah, of course I had to watch that one.
Oh,
But yeah, great stuff. So, what do you guys hope to enter the spring like in terms of fitness realistically? For example, last year I made a point in January to say, okay, God damn it, I'm gonna shed some kilos. I want to get down, around the 200 mark. I'm saying my weight on a podcast, and I feel weird whenever I do, but and now I'm obsessed with it. But but I wanted to come into the spring with a specific strength level, and I'm being more specific this year. I want to be even more. I don't want to come into this new spring in the same fitness as I did last spring. I want to be better off because I think I can be. Do you guys have objectives, or is it just kind of work out as hard as I can and see what happens.
I think I would love to do a little bit of weight stuff. I'd love to look, obviously, the human version of what Alaphilippe would look like in April. I'd like to be a little bit stronger than I am now and be able to put out power for a little bit longer than I can. Because I found that I do have that short burst, but I can't sustain that short burst.
Sure.
So I'd like to be able to do that. So I think that's what I'd like to achieve come that time.
Are you going to need to require on numbers to do that? Watts, things like that.
That's interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't used it before, and this is probably the strongest time I've ever, in and around now and a couple weeks ago is the strongest I've been ever, I would say. So I don't know if I need that, but I would like to actually have that strength come the time that it needs, not end of summer. Like, I found that I'm getting into my best shape when the weather is starting to change. So I'd like to be in my best shape coming June.
Yeah.
Instead.
Yeah. Paul?
Well, I think my biggest flaw is consistency, and then when I'm consistent is when I have some accountability. I need to have some accountability. So
you need to get drunk and sign up for races is what you got to do.
That doesn't work for me, but I want to race, but that doesn't do it for me. It works a different way. If there's a group of people who say, hey, every Wednesday, like that TNT for me is like, that is a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to start seeing, it's like, I have to show up. I told people I'm going, you know what I mean? Or, like let's say Packfiller, we'll meet every other Saturday and do like wind training, or we'll watch a video or do something. That's where I get my most success. And that's when I'm with teams, when teams have a tendency to say, hey, we have, like my old boss has a pretty good sized garage, and we used to have 12 people sit there. Yeah, and we'd bullshit on it, and then somebody goes, hey, let's sprint, and we'd sprint or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, all that, I think if I can find like a group of people that want to do yoga with me, I could find a yogi that would probably want to do a class or willing to do a class. I mean, nothing's more fun to see a bunch of, tight string,
horribly
unflexible people on a bike. Oh, what are we doing here?
Oh, just farted.
Yeah. And then, So, that type of stuff, I think I will see an increase. I don't typically gain too much weight through the winter. Well, I try and watch what I eat and try and at least do something, but I can gain weight, but but those are the things that hopefully will come about. Like if people want to join me on doing the stairs, type of thing. Accountability and consistency.
I will say that since moving back here to Spokane, riding with everybody has kept me accountable and kept me in that form and that shape. So I'm interested to see how that continues on with the winter, because having you guys around keeps me accountable. I want to be able to keep at the front of these rides, and that nobody's whipping me on the back and saying you have to do this or else you're not going to get paid next week. It's just it's my own competitive nature, and that's not going away.
Yeah, it's become an obsession. For me especially, because if you'd have asked me this a year ago, there's no way I would have been this paranoid about it. But now I'm just like, oh no, it's 2 pounds. I hate
myself.
Start
flogging.
My wife comes in and I got my arm on a butcher's block and I'm gonna cut it off from the elbow down. That's 2 pounds, isn't it, hon? That's about 2 pounds.
Put it on the scale.
We're gonna be fine, right? Oh God, And so it's just I don't want to become a obsessed prick about it where my wife's just going, oh my God, you're no fun. Would you have a fucking French fry and a beer and quit worrying about it? And so at that,
and you can,
and at that point, 3 to 5 pounds for the winter, I guess that's going to be okay. Not 30 pounds like I lost this year. So
eat what you want, but in portions. The problem for me is when it gets around Thanksgiving, and then I'm just like, I'm moaning. I'm so
Yeah.
full.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you're just laying on the couch. And then the next day you're like, you got your Thanksgiving feast hangover.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel a little sluggish. I'll get it to it on Sunday or
Yeah.
whatever, So,
Yeah.
but it's just portions.
Cold weather just
Cold wear sucks.
everything. Yeah.
It
It's
so
just
does.
makes you
Yeah.
so
I
slow
hate
and so
it.
relaxed. And we lose light. We lose daylight here so quickly.
Yep.
And it's just
We already
becomes a
have.
depression.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys don't, but I work in a windowless basement all year. My classroom is in a basement. I work in theaters. They're dark. You go to work, it's dark. You leave at the end of the day, it's dark. You just want to
deal.
quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just brutal. But hey, let's end the show on that happy note.
All
shall
right,
we?
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
Darkness. Yeah.
for you guys listening and gals listening, the gals, do people still say gals? Well, women, guys and girls. No, girls just makes it sound stupid now.
No.
Yeah. First of all, big thanks to Mariah Rook. I forgot to thank her on the show to have her on. As she always says, she likes to come on and bash the boys club, and and I like she posed that question to us last week. It was like, what do you guys think about the men's races being shorter? And we all just kind of went,
God, I'd
shit,
love
that's
it.
a good idea.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say we're chauvinistic pricks, but it's nice to have somebody come on the air and just kind of say, hey, have you ever thought about it this way? And that's what's great. And I think that's what needs to happen in the men and women's perspectives. And I love having Mariah on because she gives a shit, but she doesn't call us assholes because I think we try to make an effort here. So
We know what we are.
yeah.
We're assholes.
Absolutely.
She didn't have to call
Yeah,
us.
exactly. Yeah. it's just- But we posed a lot of stuff to you guys, listeners. Number one, what do you guys think about some events over the winter to keep us going? Number two, what do you think about making Paul do a spinning class? And yeah, exactly. I'm putting that out there, and and those types of things. And how do you keep going through the winter? And what do you think are some cool ideas to kind of give us all something to to train for? It's that event. It's that. When we signed up for Belgian Waffle, Jackson, I knew that I had to get my shit together and I had to have it dialed in by the date. And so 4 or 5 months back, I was thinking about it. I was obsessing about it and I was working on it. And that changes the game. Paul, you talk about getting that schedule in January and COVID fucks everything up. But looking at that schedule and saying, okay, this year, Tour de Bloom drink, is in April. I'm going to train for it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be ready for it. And that gets your body going and gets your brain going and stuff like that. So it gets you out to those goddamn stairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. So those are the things to pose and let us know what you think. Once again, Paul, Maine, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you.
Jackson Bulger, thanks for coming home for a few minutes.
Of course.
Your mother's been worried sick. I'm
I
kidding.
bet.
I'm kidding. And to you guys out there, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, do all those kinds of things. And once again, we are not always, but whenever we do a show from the studio, we're live. We're live on Vimeo. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. And we're, of course, live on Podbean. So check us out there. And